Hello everybody, this is YouTube user video dude 7 here, and I'm back to you with a video. And of course, believe it or not, this is a very special live stream for you guys. This is called the special New Year's Eve live stream. Of course, today's officially New Year's Eve. It is now at 7:21 p.m. Of course, as you can see, I'm in my room in my dad's house. Yep. It is a beautiful evening out there, although I already got it earlier, it was just pretty snowing out there. Yep, although the snow wasn't bad then, but yep. Can you come up here? Hello to whoever you are. Yep, hello to you. Yep, so Amy, so yep, so early you just throw me out. Of course, by story I mean the snow. But I was, but the snow was the snow was just pretty bad too, believe it or not. Yep. Because at least it stopped and now believe it or not, there are fireworks going on around the Dutch party, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, so in this podcast I'm talking about the stuff that happened this year, like this past year I should say, like the stuff that I did, and of course other events that happened. Because this year has been pretty awesome. Yep. Yep, this year has featured a whole pile of more tips. Lots of eventful stuff going on, and oh my god, pretty much lots of stuff. So let's just start off in January. So January was pretty awesome. Because January 1st was New Year's Day. I remember I was over here last year and I did a live podcast. Went over here at the same location. Of course, I was feeling studying a lot. But of course, now this year I will try not to study that much. Because last year the podcast had been done around probably 10:30 or so. Yep, and it never got finished up till before midnight, which pretty much sucked. But of course, anyway, so it's only 7:23 yet. We only got about oh my god, 2 or 3 hours left to go till probably about just over 3 hours left to go. Yep. Yeah, probably about 3 or 4 at least. Yep. So complete time to do this podcast. Of course, every show, like I was saying, New Year's Day last year was pretty awesome. Yep. Pretty much. I don't remember my New Year's Day, but I do remember something. Like, of course, I remember still the winter. I remember Saturday there was the Winter Classic. There was the Winter Classic. Yep, that was on. That was on that day. Yep. It was in the the Gillette Center, or what they call it, down to Massachusetts. That's far as I recall. Yep, and of course, we were at the over to the stadium back about 2 years ago to the trip to a Boston area. Yep, indeed. So of course, yep, and then pretty much and I don't remember if this they had on YouTube. Although but I do remember listening to a fair bit of video that came up, and I was listening to again for the first time fully that day. And oh yeah, we actually I said took a dinner that day. I just remembered. Sorry, I am sorry, kind of bad memory, guys, but pretty much because that was 12 months ago almost, and of course I can't remember that far. So of course, we showed the rest of January wasn't pretty good because believe that for the first time ever, in school, sorry, I had to do exams. I do midterm exams, which took place in January. Yep, and of course, some of it was really hard, and some of it was easy. But of course, as I recall, the most that I found hard was math and geo. Yep, and of course, other than that, the rest of them were easy, as I recall. So of course, that was the first time that I ever had to do midterm exams was in January of this year. Yep, indeed. So of course, the first couple of exams happened just before the real exam week started, and then pretty much the last one happened on the first. I think it was on the first day or so of exam week. When that's for my GEO exam. Yep, indeed. So yep. So of course the scores of Amy. So the next day only in 2016. Also bought could be motives, even though in January, of course in January I actually went on two motives. One over to Passenger and one over to Harbour Grace. That was the first couple of motives that happened in January in 2016, I see. And of course, believe it or not, before that for Passenger, I'm studying for my math exam. And then over here before that, and then of course, so we actually left there. We actually got Harry. It turned out that Harry I did actually more towards Dublin, and I think and then we actually drove through I think for the mountain bases, and then we go to Passenger, Strict area. And then pretty much we actually after we left there we actually got I just actually want to where we stopped over to Subway to get a feed of to get a sub. They pretty much it is a whole again. Just yeah, and of course but of course, my favorite part about the motive, and of course, for our motive, it's just the amount over there. It's just the scenery, I mean, and the beauty. The costume that I actually listen to both. I listen to Philippine beauties. I listen to oh my God, I listen to Six Country. RFM, CCB1, CACM, Newstown, and even back to Kicks Country. Yep. So of course, the only reason I talk about music is just because they just be interest. Interest illustrations since earlier, since last year, 2015 that is. Yeah, indeed. So of course, yeah, and of course, I remember but I remember seeing the club Kid Henry for the first time in the mall. Yep, and of course, believe it or not, this came out back about 6 years ago, almost 7. Yep, back in the 2010 sometime. And but that's pretty good song. It's by David Gator and David Gator and Flow Water. Yeah, that's it. Yep, indeed. And I'm listening to the news about 94.6 which is pretty awesome. And in 740 CCM is definitely good music. And of course, ability with our kids clip is good too. and was still a kids curry and the other curry is about Canada. Okay, so I'll try to think what I said. I'm sorry. So Kosimi, so so Christian was the year that the kids club opened his own countdown show upon a physically and only this is past Canada. The question is called the Kids Clock Countdown. And of course it started back in January and it's still going on now. So of course I remember hearing the ad for the Kids Country. Well, I was listening to it finished before New Year's Eve. Yesterday, and then pretty much yep, and then and then I was actually thinking that I also just say to myself that the next time I heard the kids clock on the the last time I ever heard the kids clock was on television. It was on CMT when he hosted the Assembly Country Top 20. So of course this his club opened up his post his own calendar show and his own TV show with his co-host Will Phillips or whatever it is. Yep. And of course the Kiss Club show features it's the Kids Club show it's other Kids Club show Kissy and Wu actually talk about stuff and and then there's make a lot of jokes and of course the most popular jokes in the does is called the Tennis Funny Jokes, where it's where Kissy tells you a funny joke as Tommy Canadians and then and then pretty much the drum goes yeah, but then pretty much and then pretty much it goes on to the end of it, and then pretty much honestly because the jokes are funny, and of course and of course all of the clock show is pretty awesome. Yep. Indeed, and yep, and and then for the Kissy countdown, Kissy actually counts down the top country songs of the week or the month. Yeah, but okay, so I'll try to think about what I said. Anyway, so but this is right now. So anyway, so I'm gonna have to carry on this and then talk to him after. So anyway, where was I? Of course, the Kiss Club countdown has the plays the is with Kissy touch the top shots of the week. Yep. Or the one that of course yep, and of course the show actually some throwback songs and then but mostly new country music. Yep. So that was saying that was one of the things that happened this year was the Kiss Club country countdown and the Kiss Club. So yep, indeed. And Amy, so yeah, so and then the and I just came in with the I gotta pause it out, guys. Okay, so that guys, but just put out that the questions are here. Yep. Okay, so now where was the boss? Where was I Okay, so Amy, so of course then the second motive that went on the show was over to Harbor Beach. I went there with my puppy, which was pretty awesome, and of course that was periods after my math exam. I was going to school in the morning, and then pretty much and then I remember kind of wanted to come pick me up, but then pretty much at the pretty much mom told me that the mom told me that a pop called and she told me that that she was going to do how to be so then so then I was kind of back when we were up on top of the road and back home to see what he wanted because I didn't to know what he wanted then, but of course when he told me that he was going to have a Greece. I was pretty great. So of course, then when we got home, I remember getting on the I was we popped we got on the highway, went towards the Bedminster, and then we got on the Bedminster, went to Harbour Bridge, and then we looked at the boat at boats on the wharf, and then pretty much we actually dove on towards space being obvious and they bring that down to be honest. We actually start over to the holy what do you call it again? The people always follow to where we started the watching the dilemma over there. They pretty we ate at KFC and they brought it back home again at about pretty much always a full day over there. Yep, pretty much. And then that was pretty much motives they have it in January, and then throughout February, obviously went over to the automotive that I went down was over to to dance. But of course, other than that, nothing else went on then. But of course, in March, a couple of events went on. The first one was of course oh my, was of course birthdays, and then the second major event they had was of course the Gander Road trip, which pretty awesome. So because I was waking up in the morning and pretty much we actually obviously did it usually stuff, then I finished packing up my stuff, then we actually and then we actually obviously hung out the house for the morning, and then dad picked me up in the afternoon. And then we actually got on the road, made a stop to with burn over the TVs. And then we got on the highway towards Cranville. And then we can stop to Goobies for some fuel, but I'm not really sure. But then after we actually drove on towards towards Cleveland where we drove through then we went to the national park, and then we actually made a stop down over to the mini bars down in the special part where we had a nice feed over there. Then pretty much we actually drove on towards Gander. But of course we actually never stayed at the hotel Gander that time. We actually stayed at the company instead. Because that was a pretty good road trip. Yep. Because of the rail stations, the new places that I went to, and shopping. Yeah, but of course the music, and of course the new musician that they still was of course K-Rock, 90%. Yep, and of course when I first listened to it on the FM band, it was just pretty awesome because pretty awesome songs and pretty awesome hosts too. Yep, indeed. And of course and of course during that road trip we actually went on to we went over to Trinity where we made a stop over to the fish pen over there. Then we before the rest went over to the fish and chips restaurant over there. And of course we not the job over there was just pretty awesome and pretty scenic because there was a whole bunch of cars over there and even nice city, and of course, yeah, and then after the trip, basically went towards Belfast, we did be something, and of course, we got basically middle of the Highway 340. Yep. So yep, and to the report, and then pretty much in the Grand Falls, we actually did a bit of shopping, and then bring out about my second Grand Band DVD over. Yep, probably the first series, the first couple of episodes of this. Yep. So pretty much we left the rest of the to downtown, and then at Escadad when we would go down the. So they basically, yeah, she took me down there, and then we drove on towards back towards Canada where we had supper, and then on my room for the rest of the evening. Then the next day we actually left there, we actually drove on home, and then stopped to Mickey D's for breakfast, and then pretty much we actually drove to Clanville, and then pretty much we drove to Clanville to the TVs, and then pretty much we actually went home from there, drove on home from there. Yep, indeed. And of course, yeah, and of course and not always all didn't have any much. And now let's talk about April. Of course, April was pretty awesome month for me because, well, of course, another awesome thing about April was the virus that I had. I obviously had a bad old cough. Of course, the really awesome thing that happened in April was the return to Nova Scotia. Yep, indeed. April 14th to the 16th of this year. So of course, as I recall, I remember when we got home from O'Donnell's on period a few days before the trip. I remember that telling mom, as mom telling that that I had a PD day on the 15th. So then yes, she told me that she was going to Nova Scotia to pick up a delivery van. So then again I was so delayed because I was going to return to the mainland at about 2 years. Yep, indeed. So pretty much the period obviously gotten better throughout Sunday, and so throughout the rest of the weekend, and then obviously rest to go to school throughout the rest of throughout the week, and then pretty much the Thursday we actually I was went to school, and then I remember just before we left school, I remember me and me a few friends and teachers were outdoors on the trail towards Rosie Park, and then pretty much I always walked on that trail for a bit before I went home. It's just me and the boys, and then pretty much we actually left school and went home while parents finished unpacking, and then dad picked me up, and then basically I always having lunch go back. I was having supper over at Subway. And then we actually went on to the airport from there, and pretty much I remember still using stuff at the airport. Just secondly go to security, and then pretty much I never used to be this but of course instead I used my cell phone. So then pretty much after that we actually got on a flight, and of course it was it wasn't of course it was on a WestJet flight, but one down on one of those major big WestJet planes. It was on a oh my god, it was on a oh my god, it was on one of those planes with those circly things on the bottom of the means of the yep, I can't remember what it's called, but of course that was what we wanted. Although it's similar to it's pretty similar to Port Airlines. Yep. So we took off from St. John's, and then the flight was about an hour. So then pretty much, just before we landed in Halifax, we actually seen a really beautiful sunset. So then me and Dad decided to take a few pictures of it because I already took one because what is because if you take more than that then that'll waste me that'll take up me space. So then the sunset over there was pretty awesome. Yep. Yep, and of course the red sky was pretty beautiful too. Yeah, and then pretty much we landed the day as you color packs and as we outdoors in the cold and the dark and then pretty much and then pretty much we actually got picked up and then we actually went over to the Hampton down in Beach Crossing. And then we actually had the same room that we had back in 2012 and everybody else was sweet. And then pretty much I remember unpacking my stuff then walk around the hotel and listen to the music and just be cleaner and stuff. And then pretty much that's all it did. And then pretty much the next morning then the next morning and we actually woke up cause the breakfast then we actually went over to the actually we some stops in the Dartmouth over to the Bumio Jacks down the Burnside area, and then pretty much we actually left there, picked up the van, and then pretty much we actually oh my god, we actually left there, went on to the back while I walked around and then bought a few things, and then we actually left there, went back to Bumio Jacks, and then pretty much we actually left there. I think on the highway towards the 102 Batmans, and then we actually gone the TTCs towards New Glasgow and the Glacier, yeah. And then of course and then of course being at the it was just pretty windy and it was snowing the whole way down. But even the whole way towards North City too. Yep. So then pretty much we basically stopped down to the only big stop down to Aldous Cove, and then pretty much we actually we had a few of the fishing chips, so it was pretty awesome. And then pretty much we actually left there. We actually climbed the Kasukashi wait for Cape Breton, and then we climbed about to the 105, and then we drove all the way on Cape Breton on the full 142 kilometer highway. And then basically we stopped over to the Walmart down in North City just before we got on the boat. And of course over there obviously had to you supposed to be but they had to pick up a charger for the vehicle. And when we left there, basically on the Highway 135, but towards North City, and then we exited on the to TCH in towards North City. We then arrived at the boat, and then pretty much when we got our boarding passes, then we actually arrived at the that we hung out a couple hours, and then pretty much I remember looking through the terminal and then at the beauty of it over there, and I picked up a Donald magazine over there, and then pretty much I remember when we come back to the vehicle, I remember I put the music down so I could hear the PA announcement about for when we can board. Yep, indeed. Of course, and of course I also listen to people in the video too. Sitting down experiences, sitting experiences, ground boat, looked around, and then around and then period wait a bit. Then next morning I was never got up to my 6:30 because there's and actually we were arriving at the dark in about an hour, so they basically woke up and they knocked on outdoors few weeks there, and then I pretty much come here watching the pretty much glass boat an hour early. And then pretty much which is our cemetery, and then Pierce drove on to Port Bears and Cowboy Valley area, and then Pierce recently stop over to Deer Lake, where we beached up, and then pretty much we actually had a big episode there, and then we left there, we actually went on over to Bishop's Falls, where we had a we took Russian break, and then we pretty much left there. Went over to Clanville. That was the last stop before we got back in town, and then pretty much where we left Clanville, we actually went over to Iceberg, and then we actually got home. Yep, and of course all the time was pretty awesome. Yep, indeed. And of course, not us not in April, but of course in June, that would be a final exam week. Yep, and of course all the exams went very well. And then of course and then of course and then of course the usher did the having and I was the end of June was the summer holidays, which is pretty awesome. And of course being that the first place that I went to towards summer holidays was over to Little Harbor and Ellis Beach. And of course, the return to Little Harbor was pretty awesome. Yep, none had cheese over there. Not even the cell phone service. Yep, indeed. So then pretty much I remember do the stuff at the Ellis Beach. And then pretty much the and I was talking about July. Of course, 2 accident things happened in July. The first one was the Colebrook and Steve motive. I should say Steve and Colebrook. So of course, which is from the 6th to the 8th of July. Because I remember especially left town early, probably around 8:39, and then pretty much I immediately stopped down to Whitburn. Geez, I forgot. Oh, I just thought of it now. Well, there's one major thing that happened in June. So of course, in early June, in early June, me and Dad went to Berlin to pick up some scallops, and then well, I don't know if it was some scallops or I can't remember what it was, but I think it was scallops. So then pretty much I remember as she left town, got on the highway, and then we actually stopped over to Louis for some fuel, and then pretty much although I think we stopped in Nope, and then we came down on the highway went towards Whitcomb and other scenic places, and then pretty much we were done doing we stopped to this wharf, and then after we went to someone's house over there. Can take 10 days because it might be personal. And then pretty much we actually left there, went to the XDP over there, and then pretty much we actually left there, went back to Mary's Town where we stopped over to the bars over there, and then pretty much we actually left there, got back to the highway towards Goobies, and then we actually stopped down to the Goobies every pit stop again for a washing break, and then pretty much we actually left there. And then we actually hit home, because that was a quick recap about the bill motive. So then let's go back to Colebrook. So of course, as I recall, I remember we actually left town in the morning. Then we actually really stopped. Well, we actually we started how it was in Whitburn at Cleveland, and then down Cleveland. Obviously, we actually really stopped into Cleveland to for a washing break and to stop at the TV show order, and then pretty much we actually holy sorry about that. Maybe so and then we actually left TV, and then we actually drove on toward to the national park, went to Clanville, and then pretty much we actually and then in the kind we actually stopped into the oh my god, what is it, the urban importance down to down over there, and then over there obviously she just sent to the truck for a while. They actually left there, That was Skyfire's movie stopped at the Maybar shoulder, and then Pierce was left there, back to how it was stealing, and then yeah, and then Pierce, the Pierce was took a few weeks into Canada, into stealing, and then we actually made and then we actually pieced up down to Pasadena, and then we left there, went down to West Steeple, and then Alex Steeple obviously did a bit of shopping and it'd been fishing chips, and then pretty much the next day we actually left Steeple, we actually immediately stopped the chips and then finished shopping down Steeple, and then pretty much we actually left there, kind of having towards Colebrook, and then pretty much because we actually went to Colebrook, just as we got hurry because we actually just got into Colebrook, and then we actually took the exit forward to the 450 to the Colebrook industrial area exit. So then we actually left there, we actually left there, as the car exit, and then we drove on towards the Bay Bars where we drove on towards Lock Harbor. Because believe it or not down to Lock Harbor, the service over there is pretty bad. There's no reception at all. Yep, indeed. So, because we actually just go to there, then just go back, and then pretty much we actually we got Colebrook. Actually went to the mall over the Valley Mall over there, and then pretty much I was supposed to watch the Panorama over there, and then pretty much after we actually checked into the hotel, and then we actually come around for 1 hour or so, and then we actually left there, went over to the the Greenville Hotel for some supper, and then we actually left there, went to the Walmart and the Colebrook Plaza over there, I think that was before supper, and then we actually left there, then we hung around the hotel for the rest of the evening, and then we next morning we actually left there, drove on towards Dealey for some breakfast. The Pierce actually drove on towards Southbrook for some ice cream, and then Pierce actually left there, and then we drove all the way to Clarenville for some lunch, and then Pierce actually stopped over to the oven down to Whitburn for some fuel, then Pierce that was it. We actually drove on home. Yep. And it was that was this week about the Colebrook water. And of course then the second accident happened in July, was of course finished there, was of course while I was in Alice Beach, I remember I was listening to my boombox, and as usual I got back from my aunt's house, and then pretty much I remember when I first got into my next living room, I was turned on the boombox, and then flicked to the music, and then some streets happened because I was watching local musicians down there, but of course it's still getting local stations. I could get stations down to Sydney and Sydney and area. Because by Sydney I'm talking about Sydney, Nova Scotia. Yep, and of course that was pretty awesome. Yep, indeed. So we actually because as I found that out, I just decided to do an FMDX video for YouTube, which is pretty awesome. Of course, the station was down in St. John's, Cowley, St. Vincent's, St. John, Marystown, Clareville, and Sydney, and even Gillespie and Port Hawkesbury. Yep, and of course that was pretty awesome. Yep, and of course that was a major DX down to Alice Beach, and of course that wasn't the only time that happened on over in Newfoundland. It actually happened every time to drive so yep, I'll be not driving, which is pretty awesome. So then pretty much I obviously did usual new stuff, Yeah, yeah, but of course, this is down to Nova Scotia. They got was on in number 7, 949, 959, 903, 1.5, 1.9, 1.05, and 1.1. That's all that Sydney. Yep. Those are all the frequencies that is. Because that's the best I can tell you guys. Yep, indeed. So yeah, that was and then another accident they have in July was because the return to Wilson because this the one was Gravity Fortune and then that was Pure Child. And then pretty much another time with August. So so August was pretty awesome month because people that West Midland returned down to Florida, which is pretty awesome. In the Sunshine State, that's what I was doing in August. So pretty much I remember West Morgan early in the morning was again and then as it went to the airport and then did you do this stuff and then we got on a flight and then we actually and we got on a flight. I actually got my iPad now in year fortune and then period obviously still listening to the FM bed because we that the messages I get was other that Canada and even that but the main state and that Quebec and Ontario the period that was all and the period the actually they have down to editorial but was which had these awesome fishing chips in Hawaii because the fishing chips came all the way from Fort Island, which is pretty awesome. Yep, indeed. So because being out the fishing chips was pretty tasty too. And then pretty much it was qualified towards Tampa. Then we actually left Tampa. We actually don't want towards Orlando. We made the pick about then we actually went out towards the hotel. And then pretty much we spent a few days over there. Do go to theme parks and do the some and stuff. And of course, being that there was an incident that the Florida Mall Bobby over there where we thought something blew up, but of course it turns out it was what do you call it was a few balloons popped. So of course, as I recall, everybody, including me, had to walk out of the had to evacuate the food court, and then I remember standing outdoors for a bit, and then I remember my dad and family had to find me, and then pretty much I remember seeing all the police cars and stuff arrive, and then pretty much I remember finally getting in the van, and then we actually left the mall, then we actually went on towards the towards our next stop. And then pretty much when we got to our next stop, I remember checking the news to see it was on. And of course, being that it was on it, believe it or not. Yep, that is it. So got it good on the news. That is. Yep. So then pretty much and then pretty much the whole pile of thunderstorms throughout to our trip. The first mission when happened when we Epcot when of course it was like it was pouring rain. And I made it wet, and then pretty much that was all. I had to wash me clothes off, except for shorts and stuff. Yep, and then pretty much that was it. So yeah, and then pretty much all the way back from Florida. I was just feeling pretty tired. I basically take a few naps before I went down to Tampa. And the being on the way about down to Tampa, I basically heard Terry's son today haven't even heard it about called it's waiting to be alive. And of course we were actually losing the station at the time, but of course it was still good quality and it was still good sound. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. So then pretty much that was pretty holiday happening in August. So then another time in August, in September, in the first day of school, which was pretty awesome. And how and then they returned to Campbell. We bought ourselves a new telephone, which which I'm looking at right now. I'm moving into the show right now because I'm so in the was. So of course, yeah, and of course, that was all happening in September, and in October, I've actually I'm not happening in October. I don't think. No road trips. Yeah, no. Yep, and then in November must be a birthday month, which pretty much we actually celebrate birthday, and then pretty much and the period if you usually upon we very say December we actually with even the day that's for a couple hours and then period on the 12th we actually I went to another new place. It wasn't over to Marystown, but it was over to Bonavista. Vista. Yeah, but about the and also from Clear. So I mean, we left the house probably about 9 or so, probably around 10 or so I should say. And then as around the highway, we both could stop at the TV station with but then plans changed because of the crowd over there. And then Pierce actually left there, actually made stop over to groups of big stuff for better big than Pierce actually left them around to TVs. Clever where we got it we got a dollar that I think it was in we got a hurry towards Bonavista and then we started over to a Trinity North a lot of it and then over to I think I started over to the Carolina for a look and they believe that the Carolina is a pretty scenic spot. Lots of quite a bit of trust over there, even though it's a pretty small community. So then the period basically about there for a few weeks, and then we actually left there around to a Bonavista, and then the period basically go around there, and then we had like a small lunch over at Big Bars over there, and then we actually left there around towards Cranville, where we made some over to the Walmart, where we found these earphones. There's people of them, and then we actually went to the random school mall to my finish, and then we actually left there. We actually and we actually we stopped to open big stuff down the Goobies, and then pretty much that was it. We actually went home after that. Yeah, but that was that was just quick recap of what happened of the Bonavista trip. And then the other happened in November, and then in the other happened in not happened in December other than oh my god just a small boat trips and pretty much Christmas and I was pretty not this Christmas was pretty awesome. I'm actually quick these the task is my next to be drone and stuff. I'm really surprised. And now I'm here to fight. And was finally I said some turkey dinner. It's pretty awesome. And then the was finally we both got a good position yesterday, but then play change because of the but of course the next time we go to position will be in 2017. And yeah, but and then now it's New Year's and which means there's always fireworks going on and pretty much stuff like that. And so and of course I come on bulletin to talk about which is the second position trip. So of course during the second position trip I remember we actually we left the house and then the one towards with we made stop. The actually the one the I did the extra road towards Jersey side and then we actually you just like this area and then we made stop on the Castle Hill for a look and then went over to the mall over there and then people actually left afterwards now for one day actually left the rest of how he made stumbled all the mountains then that was period. And one more to talk about the big first motive, of course, because I was when we left our speech the next day as we see the I remember we actually left there basically on the 7 line towards the highway. We actually on the highway towards the Vietnamese, we got the Vietnamese probably, and then we stop, we don't want towards basically from there, not Bitterford from there, and then period because the town is just pretty awesome and pretty small. The road's pretty narrow and lots of sharp turns, and then period when we got back there, I remember we stop over to the big bike on the first lunch, and then pretty much after we actually left there, we were going to go to the TC school, but then this changed because we were running out of time, but then basically the one towards Harbour Beach and Straits B and people obviously said, and then of course we actually left there. We actually left there. Basically, and then we actually stop over to the mall and the the mall and the so much of the Pure Downtown basically hit up back home from there. Yep. And then of course that was no other talk about though. So of course that was just a quick talk about the stuff this year. And of course stay tuned for some of these coming soon. And of course hopefully 2016 will be a better year if since Trump will be a better year without waste Trump or stuff. And because this year has been pretty eventful down to movie because of the fires. So of course yeah. Of course there's all I can talk about now, guys. And I guess about now. I'll see y'all later. And see you guys in 2017. So over now, guys. Peace. Bye. See you there.